Hey, Sam Bell here for licklibrary.com, and welcome to this video about teaching guitar and how to keep students engaged. In this video I'm going to talk about some ways that I've found helpful in my experience of keeping students engaged whilst teaching, and some of the pitfalls to avoid, and some of the common themes that I think are well worth remembering when working with students. So my first point is that the student comes first, and they've come to learn to play, whether or not it's the first time they've ever picked up a guitar, or whether or not it's a more advanced student who's been playing for some time and they want some advice. They want to be better at playing music, whether they know it or not. They might have a technical question, but they still want to play. And it's the same with beginners as well. They just want to be able to play a song. They want to make something sound like the stuff they hear. So play is the kind of key point in the middle of this. Now, I remember my first guitar tutor. I was 6, maybe 7 years old, and he'd come around and he was a local acoustic singer-songwriter style player. He was playing Dylan and Neil Young and Tom Petty and all that stuff, and the whole lesson was just trying out maybe 2 or 3 chords and just strumming them back and forth, doing what he would call round robins, where you take a pattern and you just keep going around a different strumming, and we do it together. So we'd be practicing timing, we'd be practicing playing without looking, we'd be practicing playing songs, we'd be actually making music. And whenever I got to a point where I needed a challenge, he'd show me a different strumming pattern, maybe introduce me to a different chord, maybe try to get me to do a riff every 4th bar. Now I didn't know necessarily that I was doing that, but in my formative years of playing, that really was healthy for developing a sense of playfulness, and also developing my technique by actually playing and cementing those ideas into my neurology and making it a really fun lesson as well. And that kept me engaged and wanting to play. Hey, I'm still here, 34 years old now, and I'm still playing guitar and loving it. One of the common pitfalls that I found myself falling down a few times in my career as a tutor, and still do sometimes, and I've seen lots of other tutors fall down, is teaching knowledge by the pound. It can be very tempting, especially with music theory and techniques, to teach by almost saying, here's 5 patterns, go and learn them, and maybe playing them up and down a few times in the lesson and in a kind of very removed way. And I would say that keeping it simple and relevant is more important than just throwing lots of information. There are certain students, certain special occasions when that kind of information sharing is useful. If there's a really engaged student who's going to go off and practice that stuff and they're very autonomous, which is rare, you can give that kind of bulk information. However, it's actually the simpler stuff, showing maybe one pattern, introducing that in a multitude of different situations and ways within the lesson, playing examples. And that leads me on to my next point, which is exercises. Exercises are really useful vehicles for developing technique and also introducing new concepts and new ideas of musicianship into a player's vocabulary. You might do some chromatic exercises on the guitar where you're just trying to get synchronized. You might be doing some kind of rhythmic stuff, trying to get them feeling certain beats on the guitar. Maybe it's a new chord voicing. So exercises are often small musical situations or mechanical situations that enable the student to test something out. Now, the risk here is that it can become rote, and it can become quite disengaging for the student at these times. And it's important to remember that these exercises are much like going to the gym. You go to the gym, you lift some weights, you do your routines in the gym, but then you go out into the real world and you might lift a table or hold a door open or go for a run or walk up a mountain or lift a guitar amp into a venue or something. So the fitness you built up in the gym becomes functional in the real world. And it's important to know that there's a bit of a distinction there and let the student know that this is a cool little extra challenge, but it's not the way. It's just something in order to help them gain strength in certain areas of theory and technique. And with that being said, being playful with exercises rather than just throwing lots of exercises at the student, maybe take one or two and see how they can manipulate it dynamically, rhythmically. Can they apply it in different situations? Can they do it in different keys? Whatever the exercise is, how can you get more out of one example rather than throwing lots of examples and only skimming the surface? Encouragement is really important, and also firmness as well. Even with adult students, I have found, especially when people think they know something, including myself, it can be sometimes hard to soften up a bit and just go, hold on, there's something to be done. And encouraging people to look elsewhere in their playing, encouraging people to challenge themselves, encouraging people to, really feel good about practicing, feel good about not knowing and learning, and encourage the effort that has gone in, the successes they do have. You encourage that, you celebrate that, you play songs together, you depending on the context of the teaching, you encourage them to join bands, write songs, record, do more than just what they set out to do in the first place. Sometimes can help them realize new things about themselves, which is one of the most positive things about teaching in general, is you're enlivening someone's life experience. The final and perhaps most important step is kindness, and it can sound quite sentimental saying this, but it's very important. Kindness is incredibly important to yourself as a tutor. You have lots of experience, you're teaching, you're doing your best, and some students are having lessons and they don't really want to be having lessons, or maybe it's just not the right situation or the right kind of teacher-student relationship. Maybe they're not really gelling with what you're saying and vice versa. So it's not our fault, and it's not the student's fault either necessarily. Everyone has their own circumstances. So, kind of reflecting upon your own journey and how it's been for you and how much of a struggle guitar can be. And I still struggle with guitar every day. I don't know many other players that don't feel the same. They feel that there's always something to learn, there's always these challenges. So understanding that about ourselves helps us understand that about the student. Just because we might know something which is quite ingrained into our playing, we can't expect the student just to suddenly be right there. In certain cases, that can happen, and it's brilliant when that happens. I've learned a lot from students myself, just from how they've interpreted certain things and how they feed that back, and that actually helps me grow as a musician as well. But kindness is the most important thing, and also that just helps with cultivating a healthy practice mindset, a healthy mindset around creativity, self-image in music as well, realizing that this is not necessarily, it's incredibly personal, but it's not personal at the same time. Like, it's just an exploration of something that's really fun to do. Evolution didn't factor in for guitar, so it's going to be difficult to get all the muscles going at first, or implement certain types of theoretical kind of mental gymnastics straight away. But this is why keeping it simple and encouraging and being kind are really important elements of keeping students engaged in guitar lessons. So there we have it. This has been quite a talky video, and I apologise for that, but I hope it's been somewhat informative. And I'd love to know, are you a tutor? How do you engage your students in lessons? Do you have similar approaches, or do you have different approaches to what I've laid out here? Or maybe you're a student. I've been a student, I still am a student of guitar, I consider myself that. How do you feel with your experience of being a student? What have been the best lessons you've had? What have been the best styles of teaching you've received? What have been things which have turned you off from some of the teachers you might have seen before? Had lessons with somebody who might have made you think, oh, that's not what I want to do, or maybe discouraged you in some ways. Let us know your experiences below. It's really great to share these things, and it all helps us grow on our journey as musicians. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more here at Lick Library, then please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button to be notified when we next upload a free guitar lesson. If you'd like to take your guitar playing to the next level, Lick Library offers a really affordable membership with personalised learning paths covering lots of different songs, theory, technique, tone and much more. We'd love to see you there. Find out more information in the description below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.